Hi, this video is our marking techniques for Portfolio 10a. You can see I've got an arrangement of all kinds of different marking tools. You should probably have a piece of tracing paper. You may or may not have the tracing wheel yet, but you're going to see how using that dull pencil will work. You may or may not have chalk. If you do, we'll play with that. You may or may not have a chalk wheel. We'll play with that. You don't have to have it. Then there is the disappearing ink markers. There's a marking pencil that comes in a lot of sewing kits, and you can buy these separate too. It's kind of like a chalk pencil. Some of the pencils will be water soluble, like they will go away with water. I should point out this one, the purple end, is disappearing ink. So it's going to evaporate out to the air. So you want to make sure that if you use this on something that you're going to be sewing with it soon, because it does disappear quite fast. And this end is Mark Be Gone, and Mark Be Gone is a water soluble. So the other one is water and air, but it mainly reacts to air and goes away fast. The water soluble, or the blue side, maybe when you steam, if there's enough, you can spritz it with water or whatever, and or if it gets washed, it's going to disappear and go away, wash out. Okay. And then I have those mechanical pencil type things. This one's a little bit thicker piece of leads that you can get, and it just kind of goes in there. Let's see if I can get it to open up. No, he's nice and jammed. But anyway, it slides in and out of there. This one is a mechanical pencil with the leads, and you can get the various in colors. It goes in like a regular mechanical pencil, and then you just click it up and down, and you use the lead as you go. Okay. All right, so let's get started and do our actual portfolio sheet. I wanted you to use two of pieces that you cut prior at the beginning of our class semester of 8x9s. Okay, so you have a nice place to do the marking. And this is going to simulate like I have the two, but the first thing that we're going to do is mine weren't cut with right sides together on this particular scrap piece of fabric. So I'm going to flip them so that they are right sides together, because that's how it would be coming off of your cutting table, right? It would be, the pattern would be on here, pinned, and you would end up marking whatever you need on the sides. Well, our little marking practice sheet and learning about marking and you learning about the marking tools, I made some great big buttonhole markings, and then the X is where the button would sew right in the center of that. So we're going to practice with these. And then 10PB will be done later on the hoodie when we get to marking on the knits and working with the knits. All right. So first of all, I'm going to pin this down. And if you haven't printed it out, no problem. Just draw this out on a piece of paper, 3 of them. You can measure that. Well, actually, I will tell you what the measurement is in case you are drawing it out and you can't really get the correct scale off of the computer. That wouldn't be all that easy. So I'm going to tell you that they are, if you make yours 2 1/4, you'll be fine. 2 1/4. 2 1/4 inch long. And then these little end pieces are a total of 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, and then these markings are 3/4 inch long crossing. So these are 3/4 inch lines like that. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in here. See what I did so far, right? And if you then, whenever you have your pattern piece ready, I'm going to lay it just kind of in the middle of my square on the back side. So it's laying in the middle of that square and the back sides, two backs, fronts together. And I'm going to pin it down now as if it was the pattern piece that I had cut out. Well, here we go. And we're going to put a piece up there. Okay, put a pin there. The first one we're going to do is learn the tracing paper, because I know you all have that piece. And I think you have enough that you can fold yours in half and get to there. If you can't, then you need to cut it in half and lay one underneath and one on top. But I think you might be able to get into that. You'll just have to see how long your piece fits there. Okay, so it's kind of folded in half here. And I don't want to remove anything off of my pattern security, like the pins and stuff, until I'm ready only in the place that I need to be. So I'm choosing this pin up at the top. I'm going to remove that so that I can slide this first under on the bottom. Okay, on the bottom piece, laying it back down. And then I'm going to move up the top pattern piece. Lay it back down. Let's see if I had enough there. It looks like I'm really kind of short. You know what? I might have better luck going from the top. So up there. And maybe you guys want to move your pattern that you draw out maybe a little bit up. It might make it easier for you. But this time I got it. And I've done like a sandwich, right, to the back sides of what we're doing. So there's carbon. Here's my fabric, the back piece, back side, insides or right sides are facing each other, and then another back side, and that carbon paper touching it. You want the carbon paper, whatever you're using, the carbon or chalk paper, to actually touch. Don't have it sticking up that you can see it, because then you're going to mark either on your surface there, and then you'd be marking back on your pattern, and nothing will go onto the fabric. Okay, so we've got it positioned, and now the tracing wheel. Here's our tracing wheel, and this is considered a serrated one. I did want to tell you, like Professor Pincushion was telling you, this is a needle wheel, and a needle wheel is used to perforate, like patterning paper and doing markings by little perforations. These are needles, they're sharp on it, whereas this is dull, even though it is serrated like that. And if you were to use this a lot, you could damage your fabric, right? Because it literally leaves an indent, a complete hole clear through it when you press on that. That is a needle wheel, okay? And it's used mainly in patterning, not in general sewing or construction. So then I also have this one that is a point turner, but it also is by embossing or pressure, it will serve as a marking tool too. So I'm going to do my end over here with the wheel, and I'm pressing pretty firmly. But this end, I'm going to use this as my tool. And then I'm going to do half of the length with the serrated. And then I'm going to use what my favorite tool is. I'm just going to use a pencil, a dull pencil. Okay, let's see what it did, okay? Still don't unpin anything in case you need to go back and replace something. Well, there we go. You can see the serrated tracing wheel makes the little dots. My pencil was a solid line, and then this, as my blunt edged, made a solid line. Let's see how well it did on the back. There we go. Got a serrated line. We got a solid line from the pencil, and another into our little goal post using this. Okay, so that was using a lot of those techniques with the tracing paper, the tools that you can use with tracing paper. Now I'm going to show you, we're going to mark one down here again, and let's say you only have chalk. You just have some chalk, either like this, or there's this one in white that you can get from the store. And by the way, this end here, there'll be, this one I've gotten rid of. Don't have it in there anymore. I generally don't use them. It's a sharp little piece of metal that you can sharpen your chalk with, so that you don't end up with a big, dull, rounded edge. You want to keep as pointed and sharp of an edge as you can to work with, so that it's not a great big line. Okay. So how do I get this chalked? Because just doing this, that's not going to do anything to my project. Here's what you do. And Professor Pincushion might have shown you this. I can't remember all the techniques that she did. So right at that point here, right where it ends, I'm putting a pin straight through. Make sure that it's straight, otherwise it'll be askew if you're going in sideways. Now it's back here. And now what I can do is I can take my chalk. Let's see, let's use some yellow here. And I can make my line for my end. Right there, right? Just barely enough. And if we move the pin the other way, maybe I can even leave behind a little more. All right, so I can do that and leave that there. I can also come in with like a chalk pencil. All right, I can come in with my good old pencil and create that line. Okay, so then I'm going to come back here, and now I'm going to go look in here because we have to do it on both sides, right? We have the 2 buttonholes to do. And so I can just make a little mark where that's at. And now I remove that pin. He's out. And now I can pull it back farther and actually make that end of the goalpost. Okay, so I would do that at both ends. And remember, I'm in the center of it, right? So I'm on that center crossing point, going straight through, bending it back, taking either my chalk, my pencil, leaving a little dot right where that is, or we didn't use our little wheel. Let's see what the wheel does if he's going to cooperate right now. With that pin in there, he's not really doing it. Once we take the pin out, he will help. So there's that hole, and we can make that mark like this, right? Now we can come on this side, make that mark like that. Oh, he popped. He was right there. Got it started before he popped out. Okay. Now, to fill in this, you want to make sure that you're still in that right point. So we can do one of 2 things. We could use the pin again and go in like that, or we can use a snip or the pin and actually create just a little hole, a pinpoint hole at that marking right there. Like that. We can make one down here like that. And now we can take our pencil. Let's do a different color because we have that lead there. Let's do our blue pencil. And we're just going to go right through and make a dot right now on just the one side. Right? So right there's my blue dot. I know it might be a little hard for you to see, but there it is. And there it is right there. Okay. So now I can come with my ruler so that I get it as best I can. And mark the line that is actually the buttonhole. Okay, so now how do I get it on the other side? Same procedure. Use your little pin. Like that. Leave the little mark like that. That's where it's crossing at. All right. And we're going to go over here. Or we could go back to the tracing paper. We can use tracing paper in there and get that little hole that we've done right there with like our pencil. And that gives me the cross point, right? And it gives me the cross point back here. It's very faint, but it's there. And now we can get our, just turn them clear over so you can see that. We can take and line up our ruler between that little dot point and my little hash mark there. And now I've got this buttonhole marked. It's going to be in between here and here. That's why those points are critical for the buttonhole. All right, let's talk about, and now you can practice using whatever technique you want on the last one over here, the third one. If you want to use more tracing paper, you want to try to do something with if you have a piece of chalk, right? You want to do that, really work with that. Just the different ways. Just remember, it is okay to mark with the pen to get it through to see where your points are if you're not going to use the tracing paper up front. Okay, so what can I do here? Same thing. I can take first off and right at that crossing point, I can put a little hole right here. And now I could come, two things. I could put my tracing paper down, but I can also mark lead there. And now I can put a pin through here. Sometimes you can see the imprint anyway, but this fabric is not leaving it. So I'm just going to put a little marking right there, pull my pin back out. There he is right there. Okay. And now we're going to, we said we measured that, and it was 3/4 inch long. So not that that's super important, but we can put, here's 3/4, and so half of that line is about right there. And now we just make our line and cross it through that point, because that's the point where the button is going to go, not anywhere else. Okay, so we marked a buttonhole. You can do it with tracing paper, right? Just the same way as we were doing the others. Sandwich it in. If you're doing the two pieces, move it on down over there. And now I can just draw my X. There and here. So now on this one, it'd be like that other one. I left that dot mark. I could come in here with chalk, right? Or with my chalk wheel. We haven't used that yet. Let me show you that. So he starts about right there. It's a little hard to see. It's faint blue. I'm not sure you're seeing it. It's very pale blue against that gray fabric. It's hard to see. Let's get this yellow, see if that'll be better. A little bit. So you just use either your chalk wheel or your chalk. And that's how you do number 10A. Okay. See you later. Bye.